Thanks for joining me for a Kick Up the Arts. I am Nicola Meehan, and in this episode I'm delighted to be joined by actor, artist, comedian and still game favourite Gavin Mitchell, who, among other things, is known and loved as Boabby the Barman. His work includes early roles on stage and behind the scenes at the Citz in Glasgow via Velvet Soup, Monarch of the Glen, Bill Forsyth's Being Human, Casablanca the Gin Joint Cut, and various dramas with his kindred spirit John Byrne, including the Tutti Frutti theatre show. We recorded this conversation live at the Stand in Edinburgh as part of this year's Fringe, and Gavin took us on an imaginary evening of entertainment round at his, discussing his choice of a Scottish film, album and book, along with his own life and work. Come for his Mick Jagger impressions, stay for the chat about Peter Pan, although I'll warn you, it gets pretty dark. If you're a fan of Still Game, incidentally, another legend, Sanjeev Kohli, aka Naveed, joins me at the Stand in Glasgow next Thursday, that's November the 13th at 2:30. We'll be having a similar chat to this, and it would be lovely to see you there. There is more information at kickupthearts.org. For now though, back to Gavin Mitchell live in Old Reekie. And so you're going to put something on the record player, then you're going to show us a movie, then you're going to give us some bedtime reading. All right, okay? All in the one night.
Wow, what a night.
I know, and you didn't even invite us, but here we are anyway. Okay, so we're going to start with music, and you're going to play us an 80s classic. Spoiler alert, it may have been playing already, and I may have it on my lap. But before we get to that, you want to speak about someone else, and I think this guy is basically your spirit animal, right? His love of theatre, music, comic art, glam, punk, rock and roll, eyeliner, Alex Harvey, in other words.
Yes, indeed, yeah. It has been so difficult, this. It's been joyous, but really hard to narrow anything down. I could be here all day talking about aspect of one thing. And there's so many things about music at the moment and people that I love. And people from Edinburgh as well, Hamish Hawk and all sorts. But Alex Harvey, oh, he's in. Hi, Hamish. Alex Harvey, I just love. My brother's 10 years older than me, so I was brought up with all kinds of music since I was young, and I remember the Beatles and the Stones, and yes, I'm that old, and all sorts of stuff. And I particularly remember Alex Harvey, and no disrespect, sitting in Edinburgh, but a lot of people say, oh, the Proclaimers were the first people to sing in their own accent. I went, no, they weren't. It was a Glaswegian. And it was Alex Harvey, and he was extraordinary. And I think he was an extraordinary man just because he became a star so late in life as well, and discovering a young band, singing in Glaswegian, taking classic songs that people hadn't heard before from Jacques Brel and things like that, and putting it into broad Glaswegian, and his sense of theatricality. And he was really appreciated in Europe and Germany and France and things, but never really in his own country got the recognition that he deserved. And he also is one of the things that to this day, strangely today I'm not, but I normally wear stripes quite a lot. And that's partly because Alex Harvey, actually. So yeah, I like that kind of piratey side of Alex as well. And I became friends with the band as well, who were great, Zal and Chris and all them. So and I had the honour of singing once with Saab and stuff. So yeah, there was them. Then that was what it was going to be, but it's not. I had to choose something else, which has just been hellish, Nicola.
Sorry,
so
this is meant to be fun.
I had to settle in one album, and it's not even the album I wanted to settle on. But I thought the reason I settled on this album is it's the kind of, for me, the pinnacle of where this band were heading, and then after that, I think it was pretty downhill in my opinion. But I loved Simple Minds. And I loved Sons and Fascination. I loved and Sister Feelings Call, and I loved Empires and Dance things. But you could hear the sound evolving. You could hear little bits of Kraftwerk and different influences in Bowie and Roxy music.
And Jim Kerr absolutely loved Alex Harvey as well.
Absolutely.
So I mean, that was not not a coincidence, if you like. Another really incredible working class frontman.
Absolutely. Glasgow. And also, as you know, I'm a huge Bowie fan, and Bowie. I always remember that advertisement for Heroes saying that some people can hear the sound of the future coming, and I always thought Simple Minds had their own sound, and it basically happened with it all culminated in New Gold Dream, I think, and like everything, music is so evocative of times and period, and it just puts me in mind of a really kind of happy time in my life. Things have been fairly unhappy up until then. And it put me in mind of like, yeah, just happy days, about to leave school and first serious relationships and summer and romanticism. And it's a beautiful but pompous, kind of majestic, over the top, reaching kind of album that I love. It's anthemic, and also people forget it has people like Herbie Hancock on it and stuff as well, which is extraordinary. So yeah, I love it for many reasons.
So that was when you're just leaving school, and you mentioned Alex Harvey, but just to go back a little bit, like what was playing when you were a wee boy in the house? Like, was there always music around? Were you always surrounded by records?
Yeah, my lots of things, I suppose. My father, I mean, we were quite a dysfunctional, mad family, but when anybody was around, the little they were, was my father liked classical music, and he liked musicals, so he used to sit me on his knee. I vividly remember him playing Tchaikovsky's 1812 Overture and explaining it to me, and this is the attack, this is the retreat, this is the celebration, and painting pictures, which was gorgeous. My mother she would listen to Sidney Devine and Frank Skerritt and Radio Clyde and stuff. So I would hear a lot of country and western music and stuff like that. And she would get a wee bit tipsy and kind of, sing Patsy Cline and so I'm crazy. And all, crazy for feeling so lonely. And but my brother was the main one, and he in those days when you could just walk in and out of different jobs and stuff, so he had done various things, he's a fully qualified chef, he'd worked in the railway, all sorts, so he had a lot of disposable income, so he changed every week what he was into, so I could hear everything from Free and the Mahavishnu Orchestra to Emerson, Lake and Palmer and, King Crimson and all sorts of madness to more kind of poppyish stuff like T-Rex or Bowie or, so I had quite, the Groundhogs, Tony McPhee and the Groundhogs, which funnily enough takes me back round to Simple Minds because I was doing a short film years ago called The Mighty Midge. Oh, yeah. And the makeup artist on it was this woman. I don't know how she found out. She was doing my makeup and she said, I hear you're a Simple Minds fan. And I said, oh, well, I used to be. Oh. And she was like, all right, I heard you did impersonations of the band. And I was like, well, sort of. So, can you do Jim Kerr? And I went, well, it was just these dance moves. And for those of you who remember early kind of 80s Jim Kerr, he used to do things like, it was like, change the light bulb. He did that. And like, feel the carpet. Pat the dog. Tuck the wains in and stuff and butter the bread.
It's so true.
So he used to do all that.
Even at Live Aid, that's what he's doing in his billowing trousers, right?
It's all that kind of Bowie stuff. Like, look at that. Empty hand. Nothing. And it's all that kind of stuff. So she was laughing and said, can you do the bass player? I went, oh yeah, he was my favourite. He was my hero. I said he used to do two things. He used to either do that, he just went up and down on the spot, kind of did this wee kind of boom, 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 or he went from leg to leg like that when he played. And she was nodding herself, and she was like, that's spot on, that's him exactly. And I was like, all right, you're a big fan? She went, no, that's my husband. I was like, oh, shit.
Oh, Jesus. So she's doing your makeup at the time, he says. What did you come out looking like?
Ronald McDonald. So through that, she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And she said, no, he'll love that. He'll love that Boabby the Barman impersonated him. And so then she invited me for dinner, and Derek and I became friends. And funnily enough, Derek, that night, we had loads in common, and he's done backing vocals with Bowie and Iggy and things like that. And that night we get quite hammered and ended up in the kitchen. He said, let me show you something. And he took down Tony McPhee's guitar that he'd got as a wedding anniversary present, who was the lead guitarist and singer with the Groundhogs. There's people in here just going, what is he talking about? And he said, I'm going to Mick Ronson showed me how to play Ziggy Stardust properly. Let me show you. And he showed me all the knobs to turn and how to do it, and played it in Tony McPhee's guitar in his kitchen at 3 a.m.
This is brilliant.
I love you, Derek.
That's bizarre because that also brings in through Mick Ronson and Ziggy Stardust. another absolute musical icon of you, not a Scottish one, but one who has a really close relationship with the Badlands, David Bowie, right?
Indeed,
so everything comes back to the Badlands as well.
Yeah.
Did you see Simple Minds there? Because they
I
played
did.
some iconic shows in the
I
sort
was
of
there,
early to mid-80s.
when they opened, 84.
Were you? 84,
yeah, 41 years ago.
Yes.
I was at that gig, yeah. I saw them at the Barland. It was incredible. In fact, again, talking about Derek, who just brought his book out a year or so ago, his diaries, Simple Mind Diaries, and I wrote the end piece to it. And I was very honoured that he asked me, and I was like, what? Why me? I can barely use a crayon. And and that's what I spoke about. And it was that night and that memory of, and it was Derek that opened the Barland, it was the bass line to Waterfront.
Waterfront, that's right.
Yeah, so yeah.
It's a crazy story, that, because effectively that's what relaunched it. It had been a dance hall, it had all sorts of histories, but this is what relaunched it really as a venue, and you were at that gig is wild.
Yeah,
so that bass line starts it. But I've got such a close relationship. I remember, I don't know how many years ago it was now, but when we first met, and it was a Radio Scotland series I was doing where people took you to somewhere that had a particularly close place in your heart. So I went
somewhere
got lost at sea with
I
got lost at sea with Alexander McCall Smith and nearly, and up in Helmsdale with Edwin Collins, and you took us to the Badlands for the afternoon, which walking around the Badlands with Gavin Mitchell, I mean, you can imagine, stopped with Boabby, let's face it, stopped every 2 seconds. We had some mussels, but
hot
even
donuts.
As a wee boy, hot donuts we did. You were always kind of there a bit, huh?
Yeah, as long as I can remember. My granny used to take me to we used to go to Paddy's Market on a Saturday, and we go to the Barras on a Sunday religiously, and we'd have clappy doos or mussels, and then we'd have hot donuts. And there was one day I went to get hot donuts a few years back, and the woman she was looking at me, and then she filled up the bag, and I went to her and she went and just shoved the bag to me, and she's like, I remember you. And I was like, that's better than any of the water.
Yeah.
Really touched.
That is.
I also found out. Hopefully, there's no kids in the day, but I also found is how I found out that Santa didn't exist. was because of the banners.
This is brilliant. Tell us. This is so funny.
My mum used to go at Christmas Eve and basically get cheap presents and stuff. And the closer you got to midnight, the more the prices came down. And I'm like, holding on to her, saying, Mum, I want to go home, I'm tired, and stuff. It's like, come on, shush, and getting this stuff. And the next day, I remember seeing stuff in the bags and all that, but when I woke up the next day and opened my presents, it was the same things I'd seen in the bags. And I was like, okay, right, that guy with a white beard isn't real.
It's not exactly what I wanted, that fibre optic lamp.
So I meant, those lassies' pants won't fit me. Or maybe they will.
But it has still got these magical properties within the market and the venue. And, it's funny because we'll talk about your theatre and your telly, but music is such a recurring theme as well, whether you're parodying or sending up, let's face it, Jim Kerr or any of the other members of Simple Minds. Or there's a brilliant clip, if you can see it online, you got it, of you as Mick Jagger on Canny.
Yeah.
You out Jagger.
Jagger. Yeah, it was Pulp Video years ago, and it was I wrote some stuff for it, and we wrote these series of sketches, and the idea was that it was just things that I'll try and do. I'll probably make myself sick.
It's worth the risk.
Here comes a beer. We used to. We did about 12 of them, different ones, but it would go like something like part 144 in occasional series. Mick Jagger sings songs from the shows. Oh, the Deadwood stage is coming on over the hills, and this engine arrows are thicker than porcupine quills. It's a dangerous land, no time to delay. So, whip, crack away, whip, crack away, whip, crack away. Yeah, Charlie was good tonight, wasn't he? So, yeah.
That's better than the clip.
We did loads of them. A Phantom of the Operas here inside my mind.
Honestly, it's uncanny. We need a whole show of this. But of course, we can see you on stage quite a lot. You know, there's that thing of, did you ever think about being a rock star? But you've parodied Mick. You're clearly a better dancer than Jim Kerr. No offence, Jim Kerr. You're on stage with Colonel Mustard. You toured, of course, with things like Tutti Frutti, John Byrne. I mean, it's like you are a rock star. Like it's like, well, in your own way, Gavin Mitchell.
Well,
right?
I have to say,
you find a way to sing on stage.
My own little taste of being a rock star once was the second hydro that we did with Still Game, and we all had quite spectacular entrances. And mine, I came out in a giant tower. My entrance came out in a giant tower, and I went almost to the roof of the hydro playing a flying V guitar to Thunderstruck.
Oh, that's perfect.
And I thought, no, even rock stars get to do this. This is pretty cool. And there was fireworks going off and all that with me just with one hand going. That was pretty cool. So yeah, I've had my moments, and also I will be singing at the Hydro in December. That's all I can say.
There you go. Okay, that's an exclusive. I'm calling it that. And you're going to be at the Barlands before that.
Yeah, I am.
And of course, how could I overlook the fact that Nick Cave's entire aesthetic, of course, is entirely stolen from Boabby the Barman? Let's be honest.
Yeah, well, if you got Nick Cave from like Teemu or whatever it's called, it would be Boabby. A poor man's Nick Cave. But it did get things. You got things like, Nick Cave being at like the coronation, or when he was with Kylie at Glastonbury, and Twitter just going crazy with people going, "What's Boabby doing at a coronation?"
Do you think he gets it as well? It's
well, I think so.
What are you doing in the
Nick Cave gets 2 pints, you prick.
Yeah, he'll get it constantly. That's what happens. That's rock and roll for you, though, right? But did you always have the sense, whether it is music or theatre or comedy or whatever, like that you wanted to be on the stage, like, because you speak to some people and they're like, oh, even as a wee kid, or I was in this or I was in that. Like, how did that come about that you ended up on any stage at any point?
It was a fluke, really. It was a dare, but I think I always wanted to be, but you wouldn't dare admit it. From being a working class kid from Springburn, lovely wee fishing village just outside Glasgow, and we moved around a lot in Lanarkshire and stuff, and so actors and things like that were way beyond you. These were demigods from another world. So, and I kind of, the way I was brought up, even though I had a big brother with a 10-year age gap, it was almost like being an only child, and we moved around a lot. And I'm actually quite a shy person, believe it or not. So my first love was art and reading a lot. So I was quite insular and kept to myself, and I was kind of brought up with TV a lot. But I guess a lot of those things I didn't realise I was sort of building blocks to what I do. So I was watching a lot of things and doing impersonations or accents and things like that, and trying to make people laugh so they wouldn't hit me, which didn't always work. In fact, some of them hit me because I did it. So there was various things that I never realised. I used to think I was awful because I'm not formally trained at anything. And so I had a bit of a chip on my shoulder about that, and it took me a wee while to realise that you don't need to be. It's horses for courses. And my training was kind of life, and acting is a bit life experience, I think. And I learned on the job when I went to Citizens Theatre. But it kind of happened through my mate, who both of us were unemployed, didn't know where we were going in life. He hadn't finished the apprenticeship as a joiner. Remember apprenticeships? Those were the days. And he managed to get some casual work at Citizens Theatre as a carpenter. And we were at a party one night, and he'd been approached to be an extra. And Ian had no aspirations to be on stage, and he was a terrible mumbler, Ian. And he went, well, they've asked me to be on stage. No, I don't really mind me. And I thought, I'd love to do that. And so we had the look at the time. I used to do behind the scenes stuff and do get-ins and get-outs of shows and some scene painting and things like that. And so I'd been spotted. And in those days, I had hair, and it was black, and I was skinny, and I was peely-wally. And that was the kind of Citizens look, believe it or not. It was kind of Rupert Everett kind of vibe at the time. And I had that kind of look. So Ian said, well, if you do it, I'll do it. And I went, okay, let's shake hands on it. So we did. It was a dare. And that was how this whole sorry mess started. So, yeah,
What was the first production then?
First production I did was a John Ford play called "'Tis Pity She's a Whore."
Oh, I mean, that's a fine place to start, right?
That's a fine place. That was cheery. With Douglas
Henschel.
Thank you. Douglas was in it. We were both extras. He was. I don't know whatever happened to him.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was in it, and then various things over the years. But so that was kind of my training ground. Really, I learned on the job. And in those days, you needed a union card, an equity card, and I eventually got it at the Citz. And then I went from there to Rain Dog Theatre Company, which was Robert Carlyle's theatre company, and that was from one extreme to the other, because the Citizens was terribly, and a lot of London actors, and you really must come for supper. We're all going to Regana's and stuff. And if you're ever in London, please come and stay. And you'd go and stay with people in London, and they would stay in a wee flat and be scared to get out of their bed. Because if the phone rang, it might be their accountant or whatever. And I thought, but in Glasgow, these people are like, no, keep your hand out your pocket. Don't let me buy this. And I thought, oh, hi, diddly dee, this is an actor's life for me. This looks fantastic. But then I went to Boabby Carlyle's theatre company, and the first day I walk in, there's these two guys, and one's going, aye, so that my car's completely, it's buggered and all that. And the other guy's talking about football, and I'm thinking, obviously technicians. And I realised, no, they were actors, and you could be working class and speak in a Glaswegian accent and be an actor. And I thought, this is fantastic. Right. So that, and then mixed with, I worked with Theatre de Complicity, which was more kind of physical acting and European acting and stuff. So I kind of got a nice kind of all-round sort of schooling in a way, really. Plus, because I was a painter originally, I'd seen things from the other side. So I think I did I'd been learning for a long time in a way. And to be honest, horses for courses, a lot of people say to me, how do you become an actor? Can you give us hints? And my first thing is, no, don't. Really. It used to be 80% unemployment. It's now something like 98% unemployment. And it's a tough old game of rejection, and there's far less jobs and far more actors. But yeah, I've been very lucky that way, I guess. But yeah.
So the
I
stage,
don't know where I was going with that.
One way or another, Beckett. Well, you mentioned Robert Carlyle, so let's imagine that we've now heard this absolutely incredible album, and it's, Someone Somewhere in the Summertime. In and of itself, I'd have that all day. Yeah. So what an album, Promised You a Miracle, Glittering Prize and the rest, right? So we've maybe even had a wee dance. Maybe Gavin's had a little dance. We can see he's got the moves. And then you're going to show us a film. Whoa. There's a Robert Carlyle connection to one of the films we're going to talk about, but let's talk about the other one first. This is because Gavin's given me so many choices. So both of them are time-travelling epics, Scottish of a fashion. Yeah. And the first one is There Can Only Be One.
There can be only one, yes, indubitably. Here's a shite for sure eyes. A shish kebab shite shell and sauce.
The great irony is that Sean Connery's accent, like everyone else's, and yes, it's Highlander. Yeah. I mean, the accents in that film are utterly wild.
Well, that's partly why I like it. I mean, I don't like, lies and false things about Scotland and all that. I can't be bothered with that kind of, as chocolate boxy nonsense. But Highlander I'm so fond of, because it's just absolutely preposterous. and it's full of things that I don't like, but somehow all put together it's this messy big giant chocolate sundae, boisterous ridiculous fun. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is great. You just kind of sit back and let it wash over you. I mean, Sean Connery playing an Egyptian, you know what I mean? And Christopher Lambert being the Scotsman, oh, my bonny Heather, and all that stuff. And so, yes. When Shang Chi died, I was shattered. I'm like, what? It's just mad. And Queen, who I'm not a big Queen fan, but I cry at Who Wants to Live Forever. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You're like, it's just brilliant. And also some of the editing and things, and it's just the mythology of it all. There can be only one, and these people who travel through time to fight. You don't know why they're fighting, or there can be only one. That's never really explained. But it doesn't matter. It's just macho nonsense, fighting in car parks. I mean, it's pretty much like Glasgow on a Saturday night. But yeah, it's just full of great stuff, and Clancy Brown is a great baddie, and all the editing, those great moments were quite revolutionary at the time. There's a great sweeping shot of a camera coming in at a wrestling match that zooms right into Christopher Lambert's face and getting into his pupil and then pulling back, and it's the top of a loch and stuff like that. Well, the time was fascinating. He's looking in a fish tank going, oh, look at the fishes. And then it goes down and comes back up, and he's on a boat with Sean Connery, back in time. And I was like, that's amazing. It was like just fascinating stuff. So I'm very fond of it. It just puts me in mind of happy days and happy times. And so much so, I bumped into Tony Curran the other night, came to see Casablanca. And Tony, the film I think you're going to mention was, we did a film in '94 called Being Human, a Bill Forsyth film, which sadly didn't do too well, but it was one of the greatest experiences of my life. And there was a group of us played these prehistoric raiders, about 14 of us. And it was Bobby Carlyle had to find the actors. So they wanted actors because they were going to have to improvise with. Robin Williams was the star of the film at the time. And I was one of those actors, as was Tony Curran, who you might know from Mayflies and stuff. And he's doing the new sort of Outlander series at the moment. And Tony and I remember us standing dressed as these prehistoric raiders up in Loch Inver top of mountains doing all the moves for Highlander and all that. And like all the training, because there's those ridiculous helicopter shots of Sean Connery and all that, and trying to teach Christopher Lambert how to use a sword and all that on top of Highland. It's just ridiculous. Can you smell the deer, MacLeod? Run like the deer. Oh, I love it. But it was brilliant, and that was an experience. So,
it is preposterous, Highlander, and yet the more we talk about it, we've talked about it a few times in the podcast. Chris Brookmyre chose it for his favourite film as well.
I don't know, it's something about it. I think it's that boyish kind of.
I think there maybe is, but the more we talked about it, and we were saying, in a way, it sort of preempted Outlander as well, because it's got the kind of time travel. It's got this ancient thing. It's got these kind of Scottish roots. It's not quite as sci-fi, because there's what was a sci-fi element in Highlander, although now it's probably in the past. But, it's got all of that going on. And Chris was saying, actually, I think now we chatted about it, it's influenced his work and a lot of the way he writes and his narrative much more than he thought. So sometimes you don't need to analyse it, but actually the imagination in it is absolutely boundless.
It's fantastic. Also, I think it plays into that terrible part of us as Scots sometimes, that we all think we know Scottish history and we know nothing. And so a lot of things we just weren't educated about our own history very well. So you tend to go, aye, because that's what we were like. We used to be able to take out 7 times our number and all that. And like, where did you get that from? You know what I mean? Aye. See, when we fought the English, aye. And like,
just as general as that. Aye. Yeah, it's fine. You're right. It's playing into our own self-mythologizing. But Being Human, so this is the film you would play, and not least because we get to see, and you're kind of like, what was the hair for starters? It's like the costumery in the hair is quite something.
Well, there's a story behind that hair, actually. It was we were told not to cut our hair and not to shave because we played these prehistoric raiders. And come the day, there's the queue of us going into makeup, and everybody's trying to be really cool that Robin Williams is going to appear, and classic kind of West Coast of Scotland guys, trying to look like, I don't care, I'm not really that bothered. And and a car would appear, and everybody goes, is that him? But I'm not looking. But anyway, I was the last one in the queue, and I went in, and they'd basically run out of hair pieces and stuff. I was sitting looking in the mirror, and I could see this discussion going on behind my back, and it was all very hush-hush, and I can see a bit of panic. Well, what's going on there? Well, we don't know, but we'll have to be very careful, and shall we? All right. And they brought out this box, and it was like the crown jewels or something like that. That's about. And they opened this box, like, and they took out this hairpiece. And they bring it over to me, and they're putting on and saying, now you have to be very, very careful with this. Right. Why? Because this is Sigourney Weaver's hair from Gorillas in the Mist. So it turns out Sigourney Weaver and I have very similar hair. So I had Sigourney Weaver's hairpiece from Gorillas in the Mist. And it was
being
great.
human.
And being human.
This is brilliant.
Because I went up to visit Robin again at one point, and he used to have a laugh about it. I've got it on tape. Robin and I jumping about each other, kidding on we were apes, and we'd be going, oh, 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 and picking at each other. And he would go, oh, Sigourney, oh, 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 oh.
So they carried this. Where was this? When you're saying, obviously, where were you filming? Where you're wearing Sigourney Weaver's hair, and you're awaiting Robin Williams' arrival.
That was up in Lochinver. That section. They filmed all over Scotland. It was Lochinver, Fort William, because it did travel through time, and because it started prehistoric days, then ends up in modern day LA via Roman times and Venetian, I think. But it was sadly it wasn't a success. It was at the height of kind of body count car chase films, and it had various screenings and test screenings, and Americans just didn't quite get it because the message was kind of since the dawn of time until modern day man is alone. Basically, people don't really want to hear that at the time. Put him in the same situation, he will react the same way. Nothing changes. Take away his family or his children, how he'll react. So it didn't go down very well, and it was a shame. It never got a fair outing because they they slashed it from about 3 hours to 90 minutes, and Liz Lockhead wrote a whole new narrative for it to link it together, and Teresa Russell did that, and it never ever quite worked. It was a great shame. I remember when they brought out the magazine Sight and Sound, and it was a picture of Bill in the front, and the headline was "Bill Forsyth talks about what went wrong with being human," and it hadn't even been released yet.
Oh, for
and
goodness sake, yeah, not a chance.
Yeah, it wasn't fair.
I think also, I mean, obviously it was meant to be big in America. You know, it was obviously it had Robin Williams. I mean, William H. Macy's in it, Lorraine Bracco's in it. I mean, it's a huge cast along with your great self, of course, via Sigourney. Ewan McGregor's in it. I mean, you mentioned Tony Curran, Ken Stott. Yeah, I mean, it's like a huge roving cast. These kind of five fables over since the dawn of time to effectively now. But because I think we knew and loved Bill so much for that sinking feeling and Gregory's Girl and
I'm sure local hero. I mean,
course,
it's hard. There must be nearly everybody that comes on the podcast wants to go, what's your favourite film? Local hero.
Yeah, it is one of those. When I had this idea in the first place and I was speaking about it, and my dad's like, it's a really, really good idea. But, well, he's like, I think what you're going to do, because everyone's going to go for Gregory's Girl. And it has been chosen quite a few times. But also...
Lena Martell. Gregory's Girl.
But by the same token, it's lovely to remember what else Bill Forsyth did.
Oh, yeah.
And there are some themes about it, those ideas of isolation and feeling alone and trying to get by in the world and trying to make connections absolutely resonate throughout everything he's done.
Yeah.
But this was, I think, even for, if you like, a Bill Forsyth market, a completely different prospect.
Yeah,
so it didn't really get a fair chance on either side of the Atlantic.
I think so. I think it speaks volumes as well that Robin accepted the film, and he took it from a fraction of his normal fee, apparently, because he loved it so much and he loved the idea. It spoke volumes to him. And he always spoke about it affectionately. He loved being human.
You really did hit it off with him, though, didn't you? Do you think it was the hairpiece?
I think so. I think he was confused when he saw me from behind. We just kind of, it was the boys kind of pushed me up front a wee bit with them. We did kind of click strangely, and we taught each other impersonations and things like that.
Who did you teach him?
Well, I mean, as you've heard, it's quite bad now, but I taught him Sean Connery.
Oh, did you?
And he taught me Gregory Peck.
Oh, let's have it.
But the funny thing was, because I've just remembered something actually, the funny thing was, with Sean Connery going back to Highlander, was that, that he was in the wilderness for quite a long time, until he did The Untouchables, and then he won the Oscar and all that. And people didn't really impersonate Sean Connery. Everybody impersonates Sean Connery now. But it was quite unusual, but I used to impersonate Sean Connery. So everybody thought it was amazing because nobody did it, basically. And he was coming to the Citizens Theatre in Glasgow that I mentioned earlier, and I was there, but it was my girlfriend's birthday, who lived in London, and I went to surprise her. And I got to her door, and she was, oh my God, and her phone rang, and she went, it's for you. And I went, oh, okay. And like, Gav, that's what I was, sorry, I've missed out about us. He was coming to the Citz if he get knocked out of a golfing competition.
Sean Connery was?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he hadn't been, so we thought, oh, well, he's not coming. So I get to my girlfriend, she says, it's for you. And so the Citz going, Gav, Sean Connery's coming tomorrow night to the Citz. And I was like, oh, shit. So I spent our whole birthday just surreptitiously going round, people going, do you think it's really bad if I go back to Glasgow tomorrow? and everybody went, no. I was like, it's Sean bloody Connery, you know. So, but I woke up the next day and I had flu. I was really miserable. And people kept calling to tell me stories about Sean Connery, and I was like, I don't want to talk to anybody. And it's like, oh, he was amazing. He's built like a big shit house, pearly white smile, and he had time for everybody. And he brought a magnum of champagne, and he had a page 3 girl, and he was this and he was that. And I'm like, I don't care. But he left something for you, did he? So eventually when I came back, they said, oh, Gav, Sean Connery left us. And apparently about 5 different people said there was a guy who'd love to have been here tonight but couldn't, and he impersonates you. And I eventually said, have you any paper? And he went, yeah, give me that. You get an envelope? And he went, put it in and give him that. And I was like, oh, okay. It'll be his autograph or whatever. And it just says, my dearest Gavin, if I ever hear any more of you impersonating me, you'll be hearing from my lawyers. Best wishes, Sean Gavin.
Really? Absolutely
and I was going,
lovely.
that's brilliant, that's really funny, God. And then somebody said, I wouldn't be too sure. He's quite known for being quite litigious. I don't know if it is a joke.
Right. Don't say anything when you leave this room. Let's keep it safe. How wonderful though that you're still getting these these associations or these little connections with people.
Yeah, it was funny.
So you taught Robin.
So we taught each other various things. And also when we waited on tides coming in and things like that, the boys egged me on. So he would do Keith Richards and I would do Mick Jagger.
You and Robin Williams?
Yeah. And stuff, which was quite tough because he was, it's Robin Williams. He was hard to play with, it's a steamroller. So he kind of, all the guys were like that in one boat, like, come on. And I'm going,
I'm really sad that Bill Forsyth's particular film that you've chosen for as Being Human didn't get a warmer welcome or a fairer airing. I've got to say, however, that I think if they'd filmed what was happening behind the scenes, they'd have a really good film on their hands,
there was
by the
some
way.
brilliant
From
moments.
what you're saying and these impressions and just the camaraderie, that's all absolutely
it was a
there.
very special time for everybody. Nobody forgets that film. It was everybody that worked on it. Paul Riley, who plays Winston in Still Game, he worked on it too. Yeah. And we have fantastic memories of that. And that's how the friendship started with Robin right until he passed, So he always sent me a Christmas card every year, and I visited him a couple of times at home, and also he came over, he invited me to like Billy Connolly's Highland Games up in Candacraig and things, and to my eternal regret, I never went, just because it was like Eric Idle and Steve Martin and all these people, and I just thought, I don't belong there. I'm not good enough to hang about with these people. What am I going to talk about?
They wanted you there.
Like that.
Can be too much though.
What's your favourite thing out of Greg's, Eric? I like Yum Yums. Do you like Yum Yums? Have you tried them hot in a microwave?
That's my mum's trick. It works wonders, by the way. Yum Yums in the oven, can't whack it.
Hello.
Everything is connected, and in actual fact, Robin Williams starred in a version of a film based on the book that you've chosen us for our bedtime reading as we move swiftly along, looking at the time. That's all right, don't worry, that's my job. But Peter Pan.
Yes.
He was in Hook, wasn't he?
He was indeed. Again, very tough because I'm a bibliophile. And trying to choose a book was a nightmare. And ultimately, I don't often talk about it, but my all-time favourite book is Peter Pan. For lots of different reasons, I adore it. And I think, everybody thinks they know Peter Pan and they know the Disney film, but they've seen various versions of Peter Pan. But actually, if you read the book is quite an extraordinary book, and the story behind it is quite extraordinary. And if you reread it, you find things all the time reading Peter Pan. And it's a very, very dark book. Yeah. With incredibly dark themes underlying it, and some of the language and some of the pictures it paints are quite extraordinary. And where it came from was quite extraordinary as well. Excuse me. And I relate to a lot of the themes as upsetting as they are. I get quite a lot of comfort from it, and I find that, it's about, in my own life, it's about sort of abandonment and sort of looking for a mother, or men looking for mother figures, and Pan and Hook. This is all getting very depressing and heavy now, end of showing it. But Pan and Hook are the same, are opposite sides of the same coin. They want the same thing. And also dealing with big things like death. Death is an awfully big adventure, and all these kind of things. And the boy who never grew up, which I had to grow up very, very quickly, and my life's kind of went in reverse. Whereas I think I've got more childish as I get older, and stuff. So there's just various things about it that I love. And when it was written itself, that it was written for these children who'd lost their father, and then lost their mother, and then were adopted by Barry. And also that the money that it raises all the time goes to Great Ormond Street for children and things. So there's lots of things I really, really love about it. And I read it nearly once a year.
Really?
Recently on my birthday, I hit the big 6-0 just last year. And my partner bought me a lovely copy from the year I was born, which was lovely. And I have about 6 copies of Peter Pan. I just it really, really touches me. And I think, and particularly Hook, I love Hook. And a lot of people say to me, well, obviously you love Hook, you would make a great Hook. And sadly, twice I meant to play Hook, and twice I didn't for various reasons.
You've come so close, right?
Yeah, I did, sadly. And hopefully it might happen someday. But I'm very sympathetic towards Captain Hook. I think he's exactly the same as Peter. He wants a mother, and it is about the lost boys, and it is about abandonment, and being taken care of, and striving for something.
When did you first encounter the story of it? Or some of us saw it maybe on film first, because what you're saying and what you're reflecting on is so resonant, but that's something that perhaps you appreciate a little bit later on in life, why it's speaking to you so much. But, as a kid, were you always attracted to it? You maybe just didn't quite realise how powerful it was, or why.
I think, like anyone, I was attracted to it for the kind of superficial reason. It was probably the film I saw first, and scraps and things like that, and pictures, and the idyllic sort of idea of Peter in green, and can fly, and all those kind of things, and chasing his shadow. And I mean, it's jam-packed with all sorts of iconic things. I don't think I really realised that the resonance till a lot later on, because I think, as I said, I think like so many people think they know the story until you actually pick the book up and you go, oh my God, this is a lot darker and has a lot more in it than is ever actually covered at all. Why the Lost Boys are Lost Boys, where they come from, and these are kids that have fallen out of prams or have been left and things, and they're kind of collected and end up in Neverland and things. So that these things slowly resonated. And the more, as I said, the more I read it, the more I was like, oh my God, I kind of get this. And also I love, there's just so many lines. Pan is very, very quotable in many ways, and I love things that near the very start of the book, they talk about that all children have to grow up. They talk about that after 2, forget it kind of thing. After 2 years old, then it's a downward kind of slope. And I kind of agree with that to a degree. But those things, and death is an awfully big adventure, and the second star to the right, and there's always one child who never grows up. All those kind of things. Yeah, they just really resonate with me, I guess.
I went back to it when you said that's what you were going to choose for this, and I was absolutely startled almost from the first page. How much resentment, you start reading into Peter Pan, when I'd remembered him always being this absolutely joyous, and it's a tragedy, really. He's a tragic life, this kind of destiny of happy-go-lucky kid forever. What's the flip side? And who it's that completely recurring theme in Scottish literature, isn't it? Is that duality. It's Jekyll and Hyde, it's Rebus and Cafferty.
He's not a particularly
Peter Pan
nice
and
character.
Hook. Right, exactly. And Hook's much more misunderstood, dare I say, than perhaps we say, right?
It's very black and white, you know, and they're not at all. It's Peter who's the one who's quite dodgy in lots of ways.
Honestly, from so early on, even his attitude to Wendy, and he's
a
barely
selfish, misogynistic wee bugger.
He is, honestly.
Hook's quite kind of straightforward, you know, and again, I like that. You know, it's full of kind of grey areas. Peter Pan, everybody just thinks, oh, it's twinkly sort of Disney stuff and all that. It's not at all. It's a very, very dark piece.
So it's a wild story and a wild book to have gone back to. I was actually quite almost shocked by it.
Yeah. No, I remember recommending it. I was doing a thing about...
It's not a kid's story.
No, I don't think
really?
It is. I remember trying to do this thing about libraries that I talked to you about before, and the guy I was working with, and he was like, Peter Pan, really? And I said, no, but please, you know, read it or choose a couple of passages. And the next day he came in and was like, my God, I forgot how dark it was. And I was like, when was the last time you read it? He said, actually, I don't think I have ever read it. Not really, not all the way through. Nah, you must read Peter Pan. It's not what you think it is.
No, not at all. Actually. Did you always read as a kid? As a wee one?
I think again my father was great that way. My father kind of stretched me quite a bit, and he used to. I always remember. I have very vivid memories of it being unwell, and my father reading Oscar Wilde to me,
really?
The Selfish Giant. And things like that, and again, just because of fairly dysfunctional kind of mad background that I came from, my solace always came from libraries and books, and I've always adored books, and they mean a lot to me.
You do always carry a book. It was funny earlier, you were saying, you know, or when you used to, when you were younger, when you were that wee boy and growing up and you were more into reading and sketching, and it's rare for me to meet you and you don't have your sketch pad in your bag as well. That is still really you. You still really are that person as well.
The boy that never grew up.
Imagine.
I kind of normally have a bag and it has art equipment in it, and it has at least 3 books. Yeah. Sort of thing, and I'm just kind of, and I might not touch anything, but I know it's there. Yeah. And it's my kind of wee kind of security bag. Yeah,
just in case. We've pretty much run out of time. I don't know. Boabby just finally took up so little of your working life, really, but cast such a long and celebrated shadow. Like, can you walk down the street even now? It's certainly never happened with you and I where someone hasn't just gone, all right, Boabby? Like, just is constant.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird now that the reach is so big because Still Game's on Netflix. It's just that it happens everywhere now. So I've had people all over the world. There's countless, those up from Zimbabwe to Japan. People have called me a prick. My favourite, one of my favourites, there's some of them are too long, but one of my favourites was last year I went on the first summer holiday I'd had in a long time, and I didn't realise we were in Gran Canaria, and this resort we were on, it was mainly Norwegian and things, and nobody knew who I was, and so I never get called Boabby, and nobody insulted me and all that, and I was like, my God, this is, and I realised that it'd been over 20 years since that had happened, and I was like, this is quite nice, it's quite liberating, and because I think subconsciously you start avoiding places and pubs and various things, and because you just I can't be bothered with the day, or you know, and so I was like, oh, smashing actually. Then of course we're coming home with my friend John, and we get to the gate at the airport, the Glasgow gate, and there's a few football tops and that, and I'm oh, here we go. And so me and my mate John sat up with the back of the plane back seat, and I've kind of got my head down at the window, and the stewardess kept walking past going, hiya. So, hiya. Which one's Gavin? Hello, I'm Gavin. I've been asked to give you this, and gives me this envelope, and it says, hi Gav, we've met before, and we have such and such in common, all these different people we knew from bands and things. Said, and you did me a favour before, you made a video for me, blah, 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 blah. When we land, I'd love to buy you a pint, you prick. Right? And it was signed Captain Patrick. It was the captain of the plane. Was calling me a prick at 35,000 feet. So even in mid-air.
There is no escape. Even at whatever 1,000 feet.
Yeah.
You're still there. All right, well, here he is. Thank you so much, Gavin Mitchell.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for coming. Cheers.
The brilliant Gavin Mitchell there. Thank you again to Gavin, to you if you joined us in the audience, and to the stand for inviting us along. If you're up for more chat from Still Game stars, I'm joined at the stand in Glasgow, as I mentioned, on November the 13th by the wonderful Sanjeev Kohli. He plays Naveed in the show, not to mention his roles in Department Q, Look Around You, Fags, Mags and Bags, and that fab new Iron Brew advert. We would love you to spend an afternoon with us. Sanjeev's going to reflect on his life and work, and he'll chat about one of his favourite Scottish albums, films and books. You can get tickets for the price of a coffee, I am not joking, via kickupthearts.org. Just use the code AKUTA, AKUTA. It's as easy as that. There's also lots of information on the website about live events, including the Witches of Scotland, Irvine Welsh, John Niven and Gordon Buchanan in London, and Teenage Fan Club's Norman Blake in Glasgow. He's going to play us some songs and chat as well, just in time for Christmas. For now though, thanks as ever for listening, sharing, commenting, signing up for the newsletter, all of that. Bye for now.